This is the Dive Into Discovery podcast, where curiosity meets insight, and every conversation uncovers a new layer of understanding.
Hey everyone, well, welcome to another deep dive. We love to explore new topics, and today we're going to be diving into the world of AI. AI is something that you hear everywhere these days. But what we really want to do today is go beyond just the hype. You and I are going to figure out what AI actually is, what it can do. And we're even going to uncover a few surprises along the way. Like, did you know that AI can compose music or even help doctors diagnose diseases? It's really mind-blowing stuff once you get into it.
Yeah, it really is. And to understand all of that, we really have to start with the basics, like what AI actually is. So at its core, AI is all about creating machines that can essentially mimic human intelligence. Things like, learning, problem solving, and even recognizing patterns. And there are actually different types of AI. You've got narrow AI, which is really great at very specific tasks, like playing chess or, giving you those recommendations for your next favorite song on Spotify. And then you've got general AI. And this one has kind of broader capabilities, so it can handle a wider range of tasks. And then there's the big one that everyone always talks about, superintelligence. So this is like the idea that AI is actually smarter than humans. Now, that's still just hypothetical, but it's definitely a concept that gets a lot of people thinking and even a little bit nervous.
Okay, I'm definitely a little bit nervous about that one. But before we go too far into the future, I want to rewind a little bit. You mentioned how AI can do things like recommend songs. And I keep hearing this term, machine learning. Can you break that down for me?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it might sound a little bit like science fiction, but it's actually already all around us. Remember those Netflix recommendations we were just talking about?
Oh, yeah.
That's machine learning in action. Basically, you are feeding tons and tons of data into algorithms. And then what happens is that they can learn from that data, and then they can go on and make decisions or predictions. And this is all without being specifically programmed for every single situation it might encounter. It's like teaching a computer to learn from experience, just like we do as humans.
So it's basically like AI is getting to know me based on, what I watch on Netflix or what I listen to. That's kind of cool, but also a little creepy if you think about it too much.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back down to earth for a second. How is AI being used, like, practically out there in the real world?
Yeah, so one area where you see AI making huge strides that we hear about all the time is in healthcare. AI can actually analyze medical images like x-rays to help doctors spot things that might be missed by the human eye. It can even help create personalized treatment plans for patients. This is based on their specific needs and their medical history. It's really changing things up.
That's incredible. I mean, it sounds like it could really revolutionize healthcare. But I have to admit, whenever I hear about AI, there's always this little voice in the back of my head that's whispering, like, what about the robots? Taking over the world, like we see in the movies.
I understand that concern. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the Hollywood version of AI, but in reality, it's really much more nuanced. So right now, AI is mostly focused on kind of augmenting human capabilities, not replacing us entirely. Take doctors, for example. AI can help doctors by taking over some of the more routine tasks, freeing up the doctors to, focus on more complex cases and spend more time with their patients. It's about humans and machines working together, not one replacing the other.
Okay, so it's about collaboration, not competition. But one thing that I think still makes me nervous is this idea of the black box problem. How do we know that AI is making fair decisions if we don't even understand how it's making those decisions in the first place?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And it's something that researchers and developers are working really hard to address. Some AI models are so complex that even the people who created them don't fully understand how they're making decisions. And that lack of transparency can be a real concern, especially when you think about things like AI being used in finance. Algorithms might be determining who gets a loan or what their credit score should be.
Exactly. It feels like we're kind of handing over a lot of power to these systems without really understanding how they work. It's almost like you're trusting a GPS to get you to your destination, but you have no idea how it's calculating the route. You might get there, but you're totally in the dark about the journey.
I love that analogy. That's a really good one. It really captures the essence of this black box problem, and it highlights why transparency and explainability in AI are so important. If we're going to trust these systems with our lives, essentially, we need to be able to understand how those decisions are being made.
So it's not just about creating like powerful AI. It's about creating AI that we can actually trust, right? But how do we even start to do that?
You're right. It's a complex challenge. But one way to start building that trust is by making sure that the data that we use to train AI is fair. and that it represents the real world. And that's where things get really interesting, because if the data itself is biased, then the AI system that learns from it will also be biased. And that can lead to all sorts of unintended consequences. Imagine a hiring algorithm that's trained on data that reflects existing gender or racial biases in the workplace. That algorithm could end up perpetuating those biases, even if that's not what the developers intended.
That's a really scary thought. It's like all these biases that we might not even be aware of could be amplified by AI. It seems like we need to be extremely careful about the data that is being fed into these systems.
Absolutely. And that's why there's this growing movement toward creating AI systems that are not only powerful, but also fair, transparent, and accountable. It's about making sure that AI is used in a way that benefits everyone, not just the select few.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the people behind it and the choices that they're making.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It all depends on how we choose to develop it and deploy it.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the potential problems, but we can't forget about all the incredible things that AI can do. There's so much buzz about AI revolutionizing industries, everything from healthcare to transportation. What are some of the things out there that are really getting you excited?
Well, one area that I find particularly fascinating is how AI is being used in creative fields. Like, we're seeing AI being used to compose music, write poetry, and even create, original works of art. It's really pushing the boundaries of what we thought machines could do.
Wait, hold on. AI writing music. That just kind of blows my mind. I always thought that creativity was, like a uniquely human thing.
That's a great question. And I think it really gets at the heart of what it means to be creative. Is it about originality? Is it about expressing emotions? Is it about technical skill? I think AI is really making us rethink, all of our assumptions about what creativity really is. And it's opening up all these new possibilities.
So you're saying that AI could actually be like a collaborator for artists, not just something that replaces them.
Exactly. It's about expanding the possibilities, not limiting them. And who knows, maybe AI can help us unlock these new forms of creativity that we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Are there any real-world examples of AI being used in these creative ways? Like, could I go listen to a symphony that was composed by AI?
You absolutely can. There are AI-powered music platforms out there that are creating original compositions. Some of it's pretty experimental, but some of it is surprisingly melodic and even moving.
Wow, I'm definitely going to check that out. It seems like this whole AI thing is just full of surprises.
Yeah.
But let's maybe switch gears for a minute and talk about healthcare. I know we touched on how AI can help with things like diagnosis and treatment, but how is AI changing the healthcare industry as a whole?
So one area that's really promising is the use of AI in drug discovery. Imagine being able to, analyze huge amounts of data to find potential new drugs, and we could do this much faster and more efficiently than we can today. AI could totally change how we develop new treatments for, all sorts of diseases, from cancer to Alzheimer's.
That's incredible. So AI could actually help us find cures for diseases that have been around for centuries. This is really sounding like science fiction, but you're telling me this is really happening.
It is. It really is remarkable. And that's just one example. AI is being used to personalize medicine, to improve patient care. It can even streamline all the administrative tasks, which frees up healthcare professionals to focus on what's really important, taking care of their patients.
This is all so exciting, but I still have some concerns about AI.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like, self-driving cars or drones that are delivering packages. It all sounds very futuristic. But is it actually safe?
That's a valid question. I mean, safety is the most important thing when we're talking about new technologies, especially, something that could potentially impact human lives. We're still in the early stages of developing these autonomous systems, but there's a ton of research and testing going on to make sure that these systems are reliable and safe.
So it's about being cautious and really prioritizing safety at every step of the way.
Exactly. And it's about having, open and honest conversations about the risks and the benefits. We all need to be informed and engaged. And we need to hold the developers accountable to create AI systems that are safe, ethical, and truly beneficial to society.
Thinking about all of this, it seems like this conversation isn't just about technology. It's really about, what it means to be human in a world where machines are becoming more and more intelligent.
That's a really interesting point. It's a question that I think philosophers, ethicists, and technologists are all struggling with. As AI gets more sophisticated, it really does force us to kind of reevaluate our own capabilities and our place in the world.
It's like AI is this mirror. that's reflecting back at us, and it's making us confront these big questions
Mm-hmm.
about what it means to be human. Like, what are our values? What are our limits? What does it even mean to be intelligent?
Those are some of the most fundamental questions that we can ask ourselves. And I actually think that AI could help us find new answers to those questions. But it's up to us to use AI wisely and to make sure that it serves humanity and not the other way around.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much, from the basics of AI all the way to these really deep philosophical questions. But I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We definitely have. And in our final segment, we're going to look ahead to the future of AI and what it might hold for you, for me, and for all of humanity. So we've taken this deep dive into, what AI is and how it's already changing the world. But I think the big question on everyone's mind is, where is all of this headed? What does the future of AI look like?
Yeah, honestly, after everything we've talked about, I'm kind of both excited and terrified at the same time. I mean, it feels like we're on the edge of something huge, but we don't know if it's going to be amazing or completely disastrous.
Yeah, I think that's a feeling that a lot of people have about AI. There's this incredible potential for AI to do good, to solve some of the world's biggest problems, like climate change or disease or poverty. But there's also this fear of what we don't know. What if there are all these unintended consequences? What if things spiral out of control?
It really does feel like we're standing at the edge of this huge uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Exciting, but also a little scary. So how do we even begin to navigate this uncertain future? Like, what can we do to make sure that AI is used for good?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to just have more open and honest conversations about AI. Like the conversation we're having right now, we need to, take the mystery out of AI, make it less intimidating, and really empower people to understand both its potential and its limits.
I love that idea. Like democratizing AI, making it accessible to everyone, not just the tech experts. Because at the end of the day, AI is going to impact all of us. So we should all have a voice in how it's developed and how it's used.
Exactly. And that brings up another really important point, AI governance. We need to be thinking about the rules and regulations and the ethical frameworks that are going to guide, how we develop and use AI. How do we make sure that it's used responsibly and fairly and transparently? These are huge questions that we need to figure out together.
It sounds like we need a global conversation about AI, and it needs to involve everyone, not just the experts.
I completely agree. We need to bring together all these different perspectives from different fields, different cultures, different backgrounds to make sure that AI benefits all of humanity.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the people who are creating it, the people who are using it, and the values that are guiding its development.
You got it. And it's about understanding that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. The future of AI isn't set in stone. We're all shaping it right now with the choices we make and the actions we take.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've gone from the mind-blowing possibilities of AI to the very real concerns that come along with it. I feel like I've learned so much, but I also know that there's still so much more to discover.
Absolutely. AI is constantly evolving. There's always something new to learn. I really encourage you to keep exploring this world, ask questions, challenge assumptions, be a part of shaping its future.
Well said. I'm definitely going to do that. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. Remember, the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something that we create together.
What did you think of this week's episode? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to join us next time as we dive even deeper. And as always, stay curious, because you never know what discoveries are just around the corner.